Okay? We want to know, to learn, what was it called? What's the first one we're going to learn?
Whence it came.
Whence it came, whether it's Mecca or Medina. Tell me that. On one of that's very good, young man. One of them, somebody said Mecca. I didn't never say that it was a Meccan surah or a Medinan surah. I specifically let you know, and then some people might say, how can you, Abu Tawbah, come here and tell me that this is a Meccan surah when I see, or this is a Medinan surah, or this surah is ikhtilaf. When I read in the Quran or the Mus'haf, and I read in this book, Ibn Kathir said this, Ibn Kathir says that, somebody else says this. Why are you saying that? Because you're going on a very ephemeral level, very shallow level. When you go deeper, you find out why these surah are of surahs of ikhtilaf. And I'm saving you that time frame in the beginning stages so that you can become just familiar with the surah. As you learn more, you might go past me and say, you know what, I found out what he didn't have, but that's okay. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Okay? Anyway, so keep it simple. Remember, part of learning is the minhaj of learning, and the minhaj of learning is how you present your knowledge. Okay? How you present your knowledge. So let's go through this surah right here. See me at the class with the rest of that stuff. This surah starts off at 64. At-Taghaabun came. Yusabbihu lillah by name. Revealed the same year Hijrah came. So Mecca and Medina claim. The subject of these 18 lines, the challenges that rack our minds, like warning all those who believe your families can be enemies. To have your life yourself you cheat, the day he gathers all to meet. Thank you very much. Let's go through it. We're going through this surah and we're going to say first thing, where did this surah says from whence it came? Where did it come from?
Mecca or Medina.
It came from Mecca or Medina. Why don't we know which one it came from? Hold on. First of all, where do we see in the poem where we know it came from? The first line at 64 At-Taghaabun? The fourth line. Okay, the fourth line tells us that, so it tells us 1, 2, 3. On the third line, it tells us, if you want to count it this way, actually in poetry, bro, every 2 lines is a line. Okay? In actuality, every 2 lines is a line. I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to confuse you, because it's called a bait. Okay, we'll get to that in Arabic. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 lines, just like that. So the second line tells you that it was revealed the same year Hijrah came. Right? That's why this is a surah of ikhtilaf. Because it was revealed the same year that Hijrah came. So what does that tell you what was happening? Use your mindset. Ya akhi, what is صوتك? No, but it was revealed the same year the Hijrah came. So what happened during that time? People were migrating. So some people count it as a Medinan surah. Because what's the definition of a Meccan surah? Before Hijrah. And what's the definition of a Medini surah? After Hijrah. So when a surah is revealed the first year of Hijrah, some people are going to count it as what? And some people are going to count it as a Medini. It has no difference to where the placement was exactly, right? It has to do before or after Hijrah. So that's the reason, the sabab al-ikhtilaf. That's the reason for the ikhtilaf. You see, you're becoming mufassirun already. You're recognizing that this one came the same year that Hijrah came, so some people claim it Meccan and some people claim it Medinan. What's the next thing we need to know? Its placement, right? Its placement, meaning where is it placed in the Quran? Where is it placed in the Quran? 64. It's the 64th surah. What's the proof here in the poem? What does it say? Taghaabun came. So the 64th surah is At-Taghaabun, right? Then it says, okay, it's placement. What's the next thing we need to know? Its length. How long is this surah?
18 ayah.
18 ayah. What's the proof?
The third line.
The third line. What does it say? The subject of these 18 lines. Okay? So it tells us right off here is dry snitching, we call it. It's telling, it's subtly telling on itself that there's 18 lines in this. Okay? So the subject of these 18 lines, then it says the name. What's the name of this surah? When we say name, we need English and we need Arabic.
The first line.
Taghaabun, right? And what does that mean in English? I can't hear you. No. Okay. I stop you right here. The translator has declared it as mutual gain and loss. Let's go back. Okay? We go back to our Arabic lesson. We said the Arabic language was preserved by the Quran and the Hadith, the noble Hadith, right? The authentic Hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun minan nas, as-sihhatu wal faragh." Ni'matani, follow it with me. Two blessings. Ni'matani. Maghbunun. Say that word. Maghbunun is from the same word as taghaabun. Maghbunun, it means that you get cheated out of the benefit of these things. Maghbunun is someone who goes to the souk, goes to the marketplace to sell something, and he doesn't realize how pricey this thing is. So, for example, let's say this is $100 on a market. He goes and sells it for $1 because he wants to get here. I'm gonna get me some money. Here, just give me $1. This person is called maghbunun. He's cheated out of the benefit. He doesn't realize what he has, so he sells it for a cheap price. Okay? So, yawm at-taghaabun, or the word taghaabun, it doesn't mean a mutual gain and loss. It means for the kafir that he thought he was getting a good deal out of party, drinking, and doing whatever he wanted to do in this dunya. He thought it was easy, right? But he got cheated out of his dunya. He didn't realize the price of life, the preciousness of it, and that you don't get a second chance around here. That all this is a gathering of proof against yourself. So on the last day, when the last day came, he realized, I've been cheated. I cheated myself. For the believer, At-Taghaabun is that he didn't use the energy and the wealth that Allah gave him. Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathiran minan nas. The two ni'mah that the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, explaining what taghaabun is. Yawm at-Taghaabun, the day of taghaabun, the day when you realize the price of what you wasted, which was your life. And for the kafir, he realizes that the Muslims were right. And for the Muslim, the believer, he realized that he didn't spend all he was lackadaisical. He didn't spend all his energy. He just prayed 5 lazily. He didn't do sunnah. He didn't exert effort learning Arabic, learning Quran. He had all this time and energy to learn this, that, and the other thing, but he couldn't learn enough Quran. And so when Allah says, "Iqra kama qara'ta fi dunya," read like you used to read in this life and rise. And the last place you stop in the Quran will be your place in Jannah. And he can't get past Qul huwallahu ahad. And he had time. He had energy. He had the intellect. But he was lackadaisical in putting forth good for himself. So he wasted his time and he got cheated out of the barakah that he had, which was the time. At-Taghaabun. So in the poem, it says, to have your life, yourself, you cheat. To have the life that you have, you're cheating yourself. The day he gathers all to meet. It's in Surah 9. In Surah At-Taghaabun. يوم يجمعكم جميعا ليوم الجمع. يوم يجمعكم ليوم الجمع. The day that he gathers you all up to the يوم الجمع, the day of gathering, the day of the meeting. ذلك يوم التغابن. That's the day when you're going to realize how much you lost, the price that you paid for your life, how cheaply you did it. Does that explain what taghabun means? I don't know why these people translate day of mutual loss. Just because it's on the scale of tafa'ul? Nah, it's not good enough. The answer is right there when the Prophet ﷺ gave it to us. Wallahu a'lam.